Hey guys, it's Leslie here with our canvas of the week. We're painting our spring tulips canvas tonight, so we've got some folks painting here in the studio, and then you've got some of you who have gotten kits to paint along at home, so get out your kit. We're going to step by step. And if you're seeing this for the first time and think, I would love to paint one of those, or that would be a fun Mother's Day gift, you can still order a kit to paint along at home. It comes with a canvas that has the outline on it. It comes with colors, brushes, instructions, and of course we'll save this video for later. So we're getting our large brush with a little bit of water and our dark brown paint. We're going to fill in from the thin slime to the bottom of the canvas with that dark brown and water mix. Doing up and down strokes, make sure you can see your outline of your tulips through. So it's going to be a real light brown at first, just to get a nice background, and then we'll add a little bit more detail later. We do this step first so it has time to dry before we put all our colorful tulips on there. So if you are following along at home on the instructions, I'm deviating a little bit. So I skipped step one, did the brown first, just so we have some drying time, and then we'll start back up at the top. Just keep you on your toes. When it gets too thick, you can dip your brush right in your water, add it to your canvas, and thin it out if you need to. Anywhere your color touches the edge of the canvas, if you want to go ahead and paint that edge, just so like on that bottom section on the left and right edge, you can paint that as well, just so that color wraps all the way around. And then you can always pick it up and just do a thin coat of brown on the bottom too if you'd like, just to give it a nice wrap finish with it. If you wish. I always like to do that first. Y'all are finishing up with your wash on your fence. Make sure to get those edges and then lift it up if you want, and get the bottom as well. While you are finishing that up, I'm going to bring you your next couple of colors. So I'll be swinging around with some more colors for you. Let's see. When you're mixing on your palette, you try to keep the colors generally where I put them. That way you'll have room for all the colors to come. Try not to get too crazy big on the mix. Should have said that before this time, right? That's all right. For future. just so it doesn't look like there's white space in between those. Okay, you're a lefty.
Yes, I am.
Came to the wrong side.
She's the odd one.
We should have put you on the end.
You have to stay listening to people in the right one.
Is that right?
You have to listen hard.
I think she knows you.
I do. My sister. Oh, I'm sure.
Add a couple more colors in for you, if you don't mind. Thank you. Make sure you got the edges and the bottom painted with the light dark brown. Try to rinse that big brush out and dry it off on a paper towel. You all have a little stack next to you. There's also extra paper towels in your mugs in the center of your table. So you need some extra. Just reach behind the easel. And next we are going to paint our beautiful sky. So rinse that excess brown and leave your wet brush, or well, I think it's going to dry it off tonight. Leave a little water in your brush and then add it to your white. It's okay if it's a tiny bit brown. You're going to stroke across the sky and do a wash of white and water across the sky with horizontal strokes of that big brush. From hill to hill. With your white paint and water, you want it to be a little thin. And once you get that base on there, with the white still in your brush, you've got just a tiny bit of purple, and stroke real swiftly over it just to blend it in ever so slightly. We don't want a purple sky. We just want it to look like the sun's maybe setting a little bit, and there's some tiny little streaks in the sky. So start with just a little, and go back and forth real swiftly with your brush, and paddle across so it blends into your white and water wash. And I know I'm moving really quickly, but it's because we want to get that white on there quickly, and while it's still wet, be able to blend our purple in. So swipe through quickly, that way you get a nice blended sky, and not a striped sky. So it just takes a little, you can add a little, you can add a lot. And look up here for the example. You just want a little bit swooping across your sky. It doesn't take much at all. dip the corner of your brush in purple, don't rinse it out, and then just swipe across and blend it into that white and water wash. Start with just a little and just keep paddling back and forth till it blends nicely. If you get too much, you can always add a little more white back over it if you need. That's why I usually say start with a little, because you can always add more. And maybe yours is a brilliant sky. What's it? There's some sailor saying about a purple sky. Something. Something. Purple sky and light. Sailors purple sky at night. Red sky. Red sky. Red sky, black sky. Red sky, maybe I'm thinking of purple. What is it? Got a little bit of everybody have green and yellow on the palette. Taking your silence. So we've gotten our brown wash ends up with our up and down strokes. And then we rinsed out our brush. We've gotten our white and water mix and done a quick swipe over the sky. And then double dipping that into just a touch of purple. You're going to paddle across your sky to get a little bit of purple sky sunset. Start with a little and brush it through into the white. Gotten that done. You can also do the edges if you want, or that top edge if you want to add a little purple to it, or you can just leave it white. Up to you on that. Then we're going to start making our hills come alive. So just kind of closer. When you finish your purple sky, we're going to rinse our brush out, and we're going to start painting our hills. So rinse that brush off and dry it off. Alright, so we're going to start with our just our green grass paint, just like it lays on your palette. And then we're going to highlight a little with the yellow-green mix and then shadow a little with the yellow-brown mix. You have everything we need for our hills on your palette, but I want you to start with the grassy green and fill up your paintbrush, still same big brush, and go ahead and paint in your hills. So I would paint each hill separately. So go ahead and paint in your hills. You can paint over the little mounds where the bushes are going to be because they're going to be green anyway. There's going to be that darker shadow green. So let your brush strokes follow the shape of the hill and just do that nice green grass and get a nice thin coat of green all over those separate hills. You want it thick enough to where you don't see the little white squares of the canvas, but not so thick that you don't see your lines through. That'll help us when we go back to do our shadowing and our highlighting. And anywhere that green goes off the edge of the canvas, you can always wrap it around the side. So that right side and left side where the green hits, you're welcome to go ahead and put a little green on the edge. You each go separately and let your strokes kind of follow the shape of the meadow. So horizontal with a little bit of a curve across the crest of that meadow. I went on your left hill. Let's go around our butterfly as much as you can. If you get it on it a little bit, it's okay, but you want to kind of keep it as a placeholder. So go around your butterfly as much as you can, but go over the antenna because you want that green showing through. But around the wings. Be very specific. And then you want your green to come all the way up against to the brown of your fence. Oh, wait, my tulips are gone. In my yard.
Yeah, but this way you're having to.
That's right, they stick around this way. My irises are hanging on. Tulips are gone. Right on the corner. So you finished getting our meadows filled in. We're going to do some highlighting next. So no need to rinse your brush when you finish. We're going to be using green and yellow velvet next. So. Get the base color of both those meadows, get those edges where the hill wraps around each side on the left and the right. That nose all filled in. You want to go straight into the next step. While you're doing still a little bit down, you'll take that green brush and dab in your yellow just a little bit, so you have like a double dip. So you have a little bit of green, a little bit of yellow on there. And you're going to take it and brush it right on the crest of the hill, so on that top part of each hill. And blend the yellow into the green. And that's going to look kind of like the sun just warming up that top of the hill. So you can add a little to start. You can always brush more on. But keep brushing it until it blends into that green. So it's going to be subtle. So the lightest part of the hill is going to be at the top, and the darkest part of the hill is going to be at the bottom once we shade the bottom part. So on each side, you're going to add the yellow with the green still in your brush, so don't even rinse it out, to the top section of each hill. So it's like that sun just shining down. And you can take it down about an inch or so, but the lightest part should be at the very, very tippy top of your hill. Doesn't take much yellow. Start with a little bit and you can work your way. Work your way down. When you get too much, just always redip your green and go back over it if you need to. On that left-hand hill, bring your yellow down in front, where the yellow, that longer hill goes down in front, and that'll kind of separate your hills. So bring that yellow all the way down to where it touches the fence on that left side, so it'll have a little bit of separation there on those hillsides. That lightest section is up against the darker section. Does everybody still have enough green so far?
I'm out of green.
Who said that?
Me.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I heard it, but I don't know where it
here.
came from.
Yes, you did. Here, here. Oh, you want to do like that? Oh, yeah.
Thank you. You may all see a little work. Once you've got that yellow added to the tops, we're going to get a touch of brown and add to your remaining green, and it's going to make a little bit of an olive. It just takes a tiny bit of brown to deepen that color. So start with a little bit, take that brown, and add just a touch to your remaining green paint. That's going to make it a little bit deeper of an olive color. And I want you to put this color at the bottom of each hill, so closest to the fence line on each side. So blend that through. Just takes a little bit of the darker olive, the green-brown mix, right up against the fence line on both your hills, just all the way across. Just deepen that color. can use side-to-side strokes to get that added on. So then the top sides of your hills should be nice and bright and sunny with the yellow, and the bottom parts of your hills should be a little bit deeper with the olive, kind of shadowed, far from the sun. In the middle should just be dusty. Kind of what we're going for. So lightest at the top with the yellow green mix, and then you added a little brown to your green to do the closest part to the fence and to separate those two hills with that little deeper shade green. So you want your hills kind of be ombre, lightest at the bottom, lightest at the top, pardon me, and darkest at the bottom.
Can I get a little bit more green?
Absolutely. Got that grassy green all over, you got the yellow highlights on the tips of your hills, and then that olive green, the green-brown mix closest to your fence to shadow. Then get one more little scoop of brown in your green to darken it just a tiny bit more, and this is what we're going to do for our bushes. So all our bushes here, and then our little trees on the top right corner, are going to be with that darkest green. So add a touch more brown to it, and then with this part, you're not going to swipe your brush, you're going to use it like a stamp. You're going to dab it. It's called stippling. And get that green-brown mix. You're just going to dab, 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 and fill in those mounds. To add those bushes and get texture. And add those bushes and far-off trees. Same big brush, just you're using it like a stamp, just kind of pounce it on your canvas. Don't pounce it too hard where it crashes into your neighbor. Just pounce it on there. We'll jab, jab, jab. If you need more of a color, just holler at me. I'm going to whisper any more. Go over the hill a little bit, but you don't want them just straight along there. The bushes can overlap the top of your hill just a tad. Then we've got some mounds just kind of traced on for you, but feel free to add bushes and trees as you wish. Just give our scenery a little character. It's okay to have a little negative space bouncing through. They don't have to be completely. So if your sky peeks through a little bit of your bush, that's okay. And there's going to be some bushes down where the two hills meet at the bottom right-hand corner. Don't forget to dab those on as well. That's going to be your darkest part. And then for your trees, start dabbing like 2 or 3 brushes at the bottom, and then as you get to the top, turn your brush vertically to get those little bitty peaks for your evergreen trees. And what did you say with the trees? Start doing horizontal dabs at the bottom, and then as you get to the top, Turn your brush vertically to get that little point.
Use the same as you did for the vision. All three of us are finished.
Oh, wonderful.
What is that? Yeah. Mine is too, pretty much. No, you got to the corner. Here, well, everybody can have different trees. Huh?
Once we've gotten our hillsides painted, we've highlighted the crest of each hill, we've shadowed the bottom, and then we've dabbed our bushes and faraway trees on. We're going to switch gears. We're just going to do some other details before we add our little flowers in our field. So we'll do that once we have all our tulip colors on them. So we're going to be done with the fields for a little bit and switch gears to some of the base colors down here. So I've brought everyone a little bit of black. I want you to go ahead and find your smallest brush and dip it in the water just enough to like roll it in your hand or kind of pinch those bristles together so they're nice and pointy. And I want to go ahead and paint our butterfly black. So the whole thing black. So start with a fresh dip just a tiny bit on your brush and do those antenna, and little feet while you've got a nice tiny brush load. So do the antenna, the body, and the feet first, and then you're going to fill in, and you're using your smallest number 2 pointy brush. And then you're going to fill in our little feet, just kind of with the excess paint on your brush. And then go ahead and fill in the wings. You can outline each one and then lightly fill in with black, but that's going to be the base of our butterfly, and then we're going to put some color on top. That's why we wanted to go ahead and do that so it'll have time to dry. So make sure you just do a nice thin coat of black, not too goopy, so it'll dry so we can add the fun colors. And if you're green, you got over on your butterfly a little bit, this is a nice chance to kind of clean up the line on the edge of that butterfly. And give it a nice smooth edge. So you're switching down to your small number 2 brush with your black paint. Get just a little bitty tip. You can always, if your bristles are a little sprawled out, dip them in the water just a little bit, roll them in your hand or kind of pinch them together in your fingers. Get them nice and pointy. Dip just the very tip of your brush into the black to do that antenna. And little legs. And then you can go ahead and do the body and the leaves. Just do a nice thin coat. So it'll have time to dry so we can add our beautiful colors on top. So right now it's kind of a sad butterfly. A little bit of a gothic butterfly, but it's so pretty. Once you get that antenna, the little legs, and outline the butterfly and get a nice thin coat all over, you can also do a little black line, just kind of outline the top of the fence. So with your small brush, just kind of go along the top of the fence, outline, kind of separate your far off hills. From the fence line. Doesn't take much. Kind of loosely outline. Once you get that black on your butterfly, go along that fence line where the petal meets the fence line with that small brush. Just do like a loose outline of our fence. And then I want you to rinse all of your brushes out and get them out of your water. I'm going to start coming around and bringing y'all some fresh water once you rinse that black out of your brush, okay? So rinse those brushes out, lay them back on your paper towel. Make sure that all that black's out of that small brush. along that fence line and then rinse your brushes out. We're going to switch down to our medium brush next. So it should be clean and dry. If you, I haven't told you to use it. If you have used it, just make sure it's clean. And we're going to come back down and do the green on our stems. So I thought to make sure everybody still has some green left over. So you're just going to use that green grass with your medium brush, and you're going to start filling in the tulip leaves and stems. So drag your brush down each side and then fill in. Start filling in those stems. You can look up at the example for reference. Sometimes it's a little hard to see what's a leaf and what's a tulip, so look up here if you're not sure what's what. And go ahead and get a first coat of green. We'll come back and do a little highlight on each one. Let's go ahead and get our green stems and leaves filled in for our floating tulips. And while you're using your medium brush to fill in those stems, I'm going to start coming down and changing those dirty waters. we finish the black, we're using our medium brush and we're adding that bright green on the stems and the leaves down around the tulips. It'll go down and
his.
Everybody got their stems and their leaves.
I don't last no time. Got none of it.
We're going to start painting our tulip colors. We're going to use that same medium brush, so kind of swipe the brush on the bottom of your jar, make sure to get all the green out so your tulips don't look under prepared. So we're going to start with our tulips. So you can use the colors up here, or you can make them all purple. You can really do however you want. But if you want them like this, I'll paint them a couple at a time. So you want to do, let's start with our yellow tulips. If you want yellow tulips, we did our second and sixth ones yellow. And so each one of these colors is going to need just a touch of white in it. So grab from your clean white and then to your color. That way you've got clean white to mix with all your different colored tulips. So the yellow is going to need the most white. So in about half of your yellow, mix that white in to get just a lighter shade, like a buttery shade, and paint each petal separately. So you're going to go down the side, let the corner of your brush go into the corner of the tulip. Up to the point and then down. And paint in each one. And then we'll come back through and add a little darker yellow and a little bit of white to contrast. So you're just going to go to the corner of the brush into the peak of your tulip and then brush down. And fill it. Just kind of paint in each petal separately. Follow the shape of our little tulips. You're like, I don't like yellow, I'm skipping to purple. Go right ahead, it's fine. You can kind of make it however you want. So paint each petal separately, taking the corner of your brush into the tip of the tulip for that nice pointy triangle. Then do the white, yellow all over. And then we'll come back, leave part of that yellow, a little darker, and we'll come back and add some shadowing. I missed a stem. Tulip stem. Once you do your yellow tulips, you can do some red ones.
You need to put white in it.
With the red?
No, with the yellow. Did you outline yours in white?
Not yet. We will come back and outline. We're just going to do the base color first. So just that yellow and white mix. Good question. Yeah, we'll come back and add those details and kind of separate the petals. We'll let it dry just a minute. We'll get the base color on all of them first. The red one is the only one I did not add white to. So it'll probably take 2 coats to get it nice and bright red. It just depends how thick you paint and how dark your fence was. So you can do your first and your fifth red if you'd like. Those are nice big ones. So use that same medium brush. Paint each petal separately. Put the corner of that brush into the tip of your little tulip. If you'd rather have a little pink, you can add a little white to that deep red and you'll get a nice pink tulip. Whatever you prefer. Let me get to be a little creative and change it up if you wish. Once you get that first coat of red on, go ahead, we'll go to the next color, and then we'll come back and do another shade of red if it needs. Let's do our purple next. You can rinse the red out of your brush, same medium brush. Just add a touch of white into your purple, but don't mix all the purple. That way you have a little bit of dark purple for some shadowing. So grab some fresh white into part of your purple. Make that pretty medium purple shade. And you can do your third and your seventh one if you're following up here in that pretty purple and white mix. It's that same medium brush, put in the corner of your brush right at the tip of that tulip.
Mm-hmm.
To our paint to give it a wash for that background, but this is one of those instances where you don't want your brush wet. You want to make sure it's nice and dried out so you get bright colors. So make sure you're drying out your brush good. You don't want water mixed in with these tulip colors. You don't want it to run on you, and you want it to be nice and bright. You got the base color done on your yellow and your red and your purple. That last middle tulip is actually going to be like a yellow-red blend. So you can just get a touch of your yellow, take it over and mix some orange with your red-yellow blend. So have a little fun with that and make a nice hybrid, if you will. An orange and peach color. Alright, you've gotten your base color on all your tulips. So you've gotten that yellow white base color on your small yellow tulips. You've gotten that red on those two. You've done your purple white mix and then your peachy yellow red mix. I'm going to go back and check your deep red tulips. If they need another coat, go ahead and do another coat on them. Sometimes that deepest color needs a second coat. We've got all your base colors done. Go back and do a second coat on your red if it needs it. And then we'll come back through and add a little character on all of them. Just want to make sure that base color is nice and bright.
I'll say it's perfect if I can see it.
All our base color coats still look nice and solid. And we're going to come back here and add a little bit of texture, shading, little highlights. Get those colors nice and bright. Pretty shady. We all got the same basic colors, but everybody's tulips are just a little bit different. It's fun. See how to shade in your own. Try the same color. You're going to do a different color. Lighten up. Pastel side here too. Doing great. As we finish the base colors on our tulips, we're going to switch to our smaller brush. I think probably for maybe the rest of the canvas. Because Because everything else we're doing is details. We're gonna finish the details below the fence line, and then we're gonna add some details to our butterfly, and then we're gonna add the details above the fence line. So it's kind of the plan. Does everybody still have a little dark brown left on their palette?
Yes.
You need some? Okay. So we're gonna need just a tiny bit more. Checking in on that.
Okay, sorry. Did you say to use the little girl or the little one?
So I want you to make sure that your number 2, the smallest kind of pointy brush, is clean and dry, and you just kind of coerce it back to a tip. We're going to come back through and just in the same order that we did our colors below, we're going to start adding the details. So on our light yellow tulips, you're going to get a little bit of that bright yellow that you saved, and just outline the middle section of that tulip. So bring the where the middle comes down, just follow that line and add some dimension to that middle petal, if you will. Down those sides. I think it's going to flip. Just add some dimension to set those petals apart. And then you'll dip into the white and highlight the tips of those petals. Just little touches of white to highlight and set the petals apart. So a little bit of dark or yellow to set the petal, like to outline, and then light to highlight. And then you want to rinse your brush out. Make sure you don't have any yellow in it. And you're going to do the same thing with the white on the purple. So just a little bit of white tips to outline, and then you can use a little bit of the dark purple to shadow and shape. Just going to get the shape of the tulip. Differentiate those petals. And then you're going to go to the red. Same way. We've already run our 2 deep coats of the red, so you're just going to highlight on the tips with the white. Drag down. Differentiate. Between the different petals. It blends into the red a little bit, that's fine. And then you use the same white on your coral color. So once you get those details out of your tulips, so you can the darker shade, make some lines, set apart those petals, and then the white to highlight the tips. You're going to also go through, just like we did, and add a little bit of white to each of the leaves. So just one swipe on the tips of each leaf, just to make it kind of look like it's shining in the sun. Add a little highlight. It doesn't take much white at all, just a quick swipe. Add a little dimension to the leaves. Just going to kind of go about different colors and light and dark. So just separate those petals. Yeah. So whichever color you use.
I know, that's what.
As you mix. But it wouldn't out just be one note, no matter what. All being pretty consistent. If you're having a light in the colors, you're going to do a light that's on the leaves, so you can start. I really like it.
So you have that detail to the leaves and the tulips. Next up is our butterfly.
Everybody take a look at your butterfly and see if that black looks like it's pretty dry. Everybody looking pretty cute. It's been flapping its wings. It's dry. Awesome. Add those highlights to our tulips and our leaves as well. Just a quick swipe on each, like the tip of each leaf, make it look like it's shining in the light. And while we have the white on our small brush, we're going to go ahead and go up to our butterfly, and I want you to outline the wings. And then we're going to add our dots all on in white first. We didn't do this the first time, and our colors didn't show up super well. So what I want to do is I want to add all the little dots we're going to make on our butterfly with white first, and then we'll come back and put the color over so they show more vibrant. So you're going to use that white and the small brush to outline the wings first. Kind of up and around. And outline. You can add a little highlight to its little body. Do a little eyeball if you wish. Then once you start adding the dots, so the white dots on the rim of the monarch, on the edge of the petal, the edge of the leaves, you're going to flip your brush around and use your wooden dowel end of your brush to dip and dot. Those are going to stay white, so you're just going to dip and dot on nice little white dots all around the rim of the wings. And that makes some nice little round dots. You can make some bigger and then do some let your brush kind of run out. Get some different size dots. So when you highlighted your tulips, you've added a little bit of white on each of your tulip leaf. You're going to loosely outline your butterfly with white, and then flip your brush over and use the wooden end to dot little white dots all around the of our wing. Next, what I want to do is switch back over to your bristle, and I want you to make, I'm going to stamp with your brush and make a little bit larger splotches with the white. Just like the, no, this is the same small pointy brush. Just let your brush kind of spread out, and you want some different shaped dots about the size of your small brush. So just kind of stamp it on with a little bit of white, and that's going to be where our color comes back and gives that pattern to our butterfly. So use that pointy brush as a stamp. Just turn it sideways, and you're going to get some kind of teardrop shape splotches, and that's where that color is going to come in, and we're going to fill in. You can do a monarch, or you can add some different colors if you want. But we want that white to have time to dry, that way our bright color on our butterfly will show up nice. That was our mistake. First time we painted this one. With that primer coat under there. Dip the little polka dots on the rim of your butterfly, and then you use your small brush to just stamp on some different shapes to fill in the wing, and that's where our color is going to go. Just going to give it a primer. And then you get that nice place for your color to go, if that makes sense. Now it's a beautiful mauve. Then we're going to add some color. Good. So you just want the inner parts to be a little bit larger, that way you have some room for the color to stamp on. Oh, you're doing great. When it comes down to it, it's always just like lots of tiny little details to add. So now that we've gotten our tulips done and our butterfly has gotten its primer coat on, we're going to come back and add a little more texture to our fins, because right now it's just kind of a bland fin. So we want to make it look like it's aged and got some wear on it and sitting out in the sun. So you're going to find your medium number 12 brush. So once you finish the white on your tulips, the white on the leaves, and the white on the butterfly, you can switch back. We're going to find our number 12 brush. We're going to let that butterfly dry so that we can come back with some bright colors. So let's just leave it white for now. Make sure your number 12 brush is clean and dry. And we want to just add a little texture. So we're going to almost use a dry brush method. So get some of that darker brown on your brush and wipe the excess on a paper towel. That way it's not too stark. And then you're just going to swipe up and down in different areas of the fence to add some of this texture. Add a little antiquing to the fence. So doesn't take much. You can wipe off the excess. Just start with a little. And add a little wear on our fence. You can kind of get down between the flowers a little bit. Just be careful. The tulips are the main event, but we want a little wear on our fence. So you're going to use some with that dark brown, and then you're going to do a little bit with black too. You should have both those colors on your palette. If you don't have any left, just let me know and I'll bring some around. dry brush on some vertical wear and tear on your fence with that medium brush. Start with a little, take a step back, see if you like it. Doesn't take much, just add a little something. Give it a little age on it.
Yes, have a little bit more room. Of course, I'm sorry. No too close. I know. Somebody kiddos. Huh? Just the sheer number of kiddos. Alright, so if we've gotten our white added to our tulips and to our tulip leaves, and then we've outlined and added the white dots to our butterfly, we've added a little brown and a little black to antique our fence just a bit. We're going to do our far off flowers. So pick a brush, any brush, but use the opposite end, the wooden dowel end, just like we did with those little dots. And that way to dip and dot all your tulip colors in your meadow. So just dip and dot and add little dots of far off flowers into your meadows. You can add many, you can add a few, you can make them in patches, or you can just put them everywhere. Kind of reminds me of like the poppy field and where there are little far off flowers. Do some of one color, then wipe your brush off and pick a different color and add some. Do some yellow and some white, some purple. Or if you didn't do all those colors, you could just do the colors that you did on yours. Just have fun. Dip and dot some of those on in your distance. This is fun. It's the fun part. Just making it come to life. Once you've got those far off flowers dotted on, the last thing we're going to do is come back and add the color to our butterfly. So if you want it like a monarch butterfly, you can mix that red and yellow for a little bit of orange, and then just try to stamp it back on over the white splotches that we made. Or if you want to change it up and do yours purple and pink, you have all the colors of your tulips. If there's a color you don't have that you want to add to your butterfly, just let me know. But you're just going to use that same small brush. Mix a little yellow and red together if you don't have some from where you mixed tulips earlier. And you're going to try to just stamp back on or brush it back on right over your little primer dots. If there's a color that you would want for your butterfly and don't have, or if you need a little more color to mix, just let me know and I can bring you what you need. Just carefully go back over the bigger white stamps in the middle. Leave those white dots on the rim of your butterfly if you're going for the traditional.
some more for.
For the yellow?
Yeah, I guess.
I won't need all that, just mix a little bit right there. And then maybe nothing be helpful. That's all the instructions we have for you all tonight. Thanks for following along. And if you're seeing this for the first time and want to get a kit, they're available throughout the week. Thanks so much. Have a good night.